Welcome back, everyone. It is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, here with another hero breakdown video. Now, if you watched my video from earlier, I did a first look at the two new commanders that came with the update. And if you would like to watch that video, I will tag it in the video here. Hopefully you can see it. But this video is going to be a more detailed look into just one of them, and I will do the other one a little bit later. And I'm going to break it down in my usual fashion. I will look at their skills, different ways you can use them in combat, a good talent build for them, I think, because I don't have it unlocked yet, and what commanders I believe would be paired with him in order to get the most out of him. Now, the first thing that I want to mention here is that he is going to be the reward for top commander. I say this with full confidence because Elena is showing up as a lucky roulette item, whereas he's showing up as part of the top commander event. So when he does unlock, Jonathan will be the reward for top commander, and Elena will be part of the 2-day lucky roulette. Now, back to the skills. First skill, deals damage up to 12,500 to the target. Very straightforward, actually does more damage than most other commanders in the so far. If the target is part of a rally, the target's HP is reduced by up to 20%, and counter damage is reduced by 15% for 2 seconds. 2 seconds may not seem like a long time, but if you can get their skill cycle down a good amount, then that HP reduction of 20% really makes a difference. And we're talking targeting a rally. A rally is normally hitting something that will kill troops, whether it be a tower, a shelter, a village in Island Raid. Either way, reducing HP increases the amount of deaths from the offensive rally. And counter damage is the only reliable source of damage they're going to deal to you outside of AoE skill damage. So if you're using him in a counter rally against, say, a Bella Sven, they're not going to be able to hit you back with any AoE damage, and you're reducing the only damage they're dealing to you by 15%. However, this does not apply to anyone that is hitting your rally or hitting your march from being swarmed. So keep that in mind. If you use Jonathan as a counter rally commander, you can expect him to be swarmed into oblivion. I get they were trying to make a counter rally commander. Just know that he's going to be swarmed if you see a rally using him. Second one actually makes him more useful in open field combat. When you defeat squads, recover own HP by a heal factor of 11,250. The effect is triggered at most once every 30 seconds. Now, this wording is weird, but I believe it is intentional. Most other skills, and the first one that comes to mind, most other skills have a can be triggered once every 6 seconds. The reason it's worded this way is that this can only happen once every 6 seconds, and the timer resets when it happens. So if you get that recover HP when counterattacking for 2200, you have to wait at least 6 seconds before it'll trigger again. However, the wording for the skill means that this effect can happen once every 30 seconds, splitting the timer from the activation itself. So, say on second 29, you kill a squad. You get that 11,250 heal. And then 2 seconds later, second 31, you kill another squad. That would mean it's a different 30 seconds from the initial one. Therefore, that activation still happens because it happened in a different 30-second window. Now, the second part of this, every 20 seconds, inflicts damage up to of 7,500 to a random target. This one is interesting. Every 20 seconds, he's going to deal 7,500 damage to someone in a certain range. Someone has already asked whether or not this could be an ally because it says random target. Now, I know you can't target allies with like combat related abilities other than buffs, so it'll be interesting to know what target means and what range this has. Because currently the highest AoE range is Lewis, and the longest AoE range is Chun. So if it's is it going to be somewhere in the middle? Is it going to be a circular area around him? We don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Skill number 3. A basic attack has a 20% chance of reducing skill damage received by 25%. If in Alliance territory, it will also cause an additional 2600 damage to the enemy, and this effect can be triggered at most once every 6 seconds. Same wording here. Now, I can't say with utmost certainty if this 6-second timer applies to both sets or if just one of them. I'm led to believe that it applies to both, which means basic attack having a 1 in 5 chance of reducing skill damage for 2 seconds means you're likely going to have about a 33% uptime on this, maybe probably a bit less. And if you're in Alliance territory, that's just another form of damage that this commander is doing. So far, we're dealing 2,600 every about 6 seconds, 7,500 every 20 seconds, and then his skill damage, which is already pretty high. It's a lot of skill damage. I don't know if it's going to be enough to offset some of the other problems with this commander, but it would be interesting to see exactly how much that adds up to being in actual combat. Plus, the reduction of skill damage is kind of weird on a commander that they designed for counter rallies. However, having a little bit of additional survivability does make it interesting, I guess. All in all, this is just a weirdly worded skill for me, but we'll move on. Rider squad attack increases by 25%. That is historically low. A lot of other commanders get higher buffs to their particular troop type than this, Thunder being about 40% total buffs. But when remaining troops fall below 30%, squad attack increases by 20%, ups this to 45 in this particular scenario. This part lends to its counter rally use. If you're in the open field and you've fallen below 30%, you shouldn't be in the field anymore. Hopefully you've figured that out by now. But in rallies, 30% is easy to get to while still having max troops in the rally. And then this stays throughout the rest of the fight. So having an additional 20% squad attack that isn't tied down to a particular troop type, especially for the rallies that tend to last a bit longer, is beneficial. Final skill, Awakening is just an upgrade of the first skill. 13,750 does put him higher than even Chun, granted without Chun's damage buff, and increases the debuffs to 25% and 20% for 2 seconds. Nice flat increase, not a lot of change to how he's meant to be used. Now, they built this commander to try and be a counter rally commander, but I don't think it's going to survive as a counter rally commander. They tried to give it healing without making it overpowered. They tried to give him attack to counterbalance the fact that he's going to get swarmed. But the second anyone sees a rally hit him, if a rally with him in it, I don't think anyone in their right mind wouldn't swarm it to death. He's not built for counter damage. He's not built to hit anything around him with any kind of force. And because a lot of rallies in A lot of counter rallies are defensive in nature. You're going to be dealing with filling these up with tier 5 troops. Tier 5 counter rallies will get swarmed by tier 6 attackers every single time. There's just no way around it. While I understand where they were going with this, using him in counter rallies is just guaranteeing he's going to be killed. If you manage to get field control, do I believe that a counter rally would be effective? Absolutely. Because you're lowering the amount of wounded on the defensive side. Just keep in mind, you're waiting on a rally. You can't start a rally until after their rally has left, and you're waiting for Lord knows how long before your rally actually gets there. At minimum, I'd say about 3 minutes. Most rallies will come from edge of territory to tower, which won't take longer than a minute to get there. You're waiting the 4 minutes for the rally to start, and then for your rally to get there. So I'm thinking at minimum 3 minutes before 3 minutes after combat has started. It could be upwards of longer, and that's a lot of time to let someone else's rally be hitting your tower. So he was meant for it. I don't think he's going to do well. Hopefully he proves me wrong. I would like to see something be viable as a counter rally commander. He can work in open field. This is a lot of damage. It just doesn't come with much else. One way you could use this skill is to get in, kill enemies, and time your kills on weaker enemies to try and make the most out of that heal factor to get him to stay on the field longer. And it would be interesting to see if that 30-second timer starts over if you, say, pull him into a shelter or take him back home. Because if you can do that, you're going to see him come out of the field, try and kill something, back off. Plus, he also gets the Alliance territory buff to additional damage. I do see this being used as a get out there, poke, see if you can kill something, back off. Now, as for talents, he got screwed. He's probably going to be an assistant no matter what you do with him. I wish I could click on some talents to show you here, but I can at least show you the Rider Squad bonuses. If you do plan on using him as a lead, I don't suggest it. But if you do use him as a lead, you're going to want to make sure that you get the additional rage. You're going to want to make sure you buff his healing if you're going to use him that way. And once you've gotten some of the other defensive buffs that you can get, hop over into the rider tree and get some additional rage and try and boost his damage. Sadly, he drew the short end of the stick with talents. You're not going to be able to use him that way. Now, as for commanders that I would pair him with, I don't know if the new commander actually works well with him. I'll go over that a bit more in the video I do about her, but considering she does shore up his talent weakness and does give him a bit more, I guess, damage to his basic attacks and such, there's not a lot of synergy there. I don't think it would be wise to actually pair him with her. Now, would I pair him with, say, someone that can move quickly and hit hard, boost his damage on the field? Sure. I see a Bella working with him in order to try and increase that damage, give him a bit more speed. Maybe Catherine to try and give him some additional rage to get that skill off faster. But otherwise, I don't know of any solid pairs for Jonathan. Now, I'll look at this a little bit more, and maybe I can come back to making this video again if I find one. But currently, he's like a Dut to me. He doesn't have a solid pair. And that's what I think about Jonathan, the Wasteland Engineer added to the latest update. Take what you will from it. He may be interesting in the next island raid because he will come up and we will see awakened forms of him in combat the next island raid. So hopefully I'll get some video of seeing him on the field. But until then, he's struck me as a bit of underwhelming. I like the idea. I don't think it was executed well. And with that, if you have any comments about something that I may have missed about the commander, or if you have any other content ideas or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Uh, and feel free to disagree with me on this analysis. I don't know a lot about this commander and how he can be used. I'm just giving my opinion from what I see here. It may change once these skills see testing in the battlefield. With that, this is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, signing off.